Welcome to Podula Rasa. I'm David Blank.
And I'm Jim Esch.
This is a podcast about finding something in nothing.
The theme of show number 3 is meditation. Dave and I had a chat via Zoom, and we talked about our interest in meditation, Dave's own transcendental meditation practice, what it accomplishes for him, and the kinds of insights it leads to.
What is your interest in meditation?
I think I had heard of meditation. It was just in the air growing up. But the first time we tried to do meditation, I think, was when Stacy and I were doing these pregnancy classes when we lived in St. Louis. You meet in groups and they teach you like how to have a baby and how to not kill it in the first month or two, right? So towards the end, that last trimester, when things get serious, they would conduct these. They essentially were meditation sessions, group meditations, and they would have us like sit there, cross our legs, close our eyes, and just a lot of it was visualization.
Yep.
So it was like trying to get you to calm down and visualize a happy place, and she would kind of guide us through that, and I kind of liked that. That was pretty cool. Well, how did you get started with it?
Well, let's see. Back in 91, I think, or 92, I was seeing a woman who knew somebody who was a TM teacher, and he had trained her, and she got me trained for free, which at that time was about a $500 or $800 savings. So I was interested, but I was really interested for free. So I went through the whole, like, the basic TM training routine, which is, it's very beautiful. There's flowers and you get your mantra, and the guy teaches you about it, like why you're doing it. I did it off and on over the years. Only recently have I gotten more serious about it. When the shutdown happened, my wife, who has also trained in TM about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I just started doing this online group through the David Lynch Foundation, which I forwarded to you. And we've really, I don't know if it's because we're doing it together or because it's part of a group, but I really miss it when I don't do it. And I never felt like that before. And it also feels much easier than it ever did before to sit for 20 minutes. I mean, for a very long time, I have an app that I use called Insight Timer. And I've been using it since 2014, so 6 years. And I just recently passed 1,600 meditations with it, 1,002 actually, of which were consecutive through today. Most of those meditations were me just sitting there and just trying to get through the first couple of minutes and just like hating it. Sometimes it was as low as like 1 minute and I just had to stand up. I couldn't sit any longer. And I really felt like I used the app 1,002 times, but I'm not sure that I really meditated all those times. But for the last maybe 30 or 40, I definitely have. And, I don't know how you describe the process of transcendence, but I think the sense of calm that I feel every time I finish is really dramatic for me.
You get to a certain age and life starts to hit you from many different angles.
Yep.
Health problems, loved ones have health problems, like people are dying, life gets stressful, more responsibilities, being a parent, like all, like down the line. And then that's why I think it's like a lot easier to gravitate towards meditation because it really does help. It's like you're hitting the pause button in your day, and it's cleansing somehow.
Yeah. Well, it allows your body to do what it needs to do, to really just to kind of be centered a little bit. And for me, it's kind of, these days, it's more about just being mindful and being present, because I think for a long time in my life, I felt like after some event, I felt like, was I really there? Like, where was I in this? I mean, there's some where I felt present anyway. And I can remember back to a bunch of them, but a lot of times, and especially when you get older and time seems to go faster, you look back and you think, where did 2019 go? Wait a minute, what 2016? That was 4 years ago. How did that happen? And especially now that I talk to my daughter about it, she's 13, so her perception of time is quite different.
Yes.
But she's noticing now that it's starting to speed up a little bit for her. And so she thinks about it. And it's interesting to have those conversations and to try to really be present in those conversations.
Right.
And for me, it's about shutting off the other things that are going on, which is something I'm not good at because I'm I'm teaching at 7 different schools, not all at the same time, but like right now I'm teaching 8 classes. So I have to be thinking like, what's the next thing for each one? And
yes.
It's hard to turn that off. So I can be standing there talking to someone, like I'm talking to you, and I'm already thinking about the assignment that I have to grade when we're done, because I want to get it done today, because then I don't, it's just this cascade of events. So maybe, meditation helps with, just that centering and kind of at least turning the volume down a little bit, if not completely off.
Do you come at meditation from a religious perspective or more of a non-religious perspective? And is that why you do TM, because it's maybe a little bit less affiliated with a religion?
Yeah, no, it's non-religious completely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've meditated in religious settings, but I'm still doing the same. I mean, I was trained to do TM, so that's what I do.
Do you feel like you get better at it the more you do it?
No, there are times that you are better at it than others, and that waxes and wanes. And sort of like being present. Sometimes I really feel like right now I feel I'm really present,
mm-hmm.
and I appreciate. I'm grateful for that. But sometimes I'm just feeling completely scattered, and I think maybe that's why people turn to drugs.
Yeah,
like I don't do drugs, but there are times when it'll be Monday night and I'll be thinking that bottle of Merlot looks pretty good. I just want to open it up and have a couple, and frequently I do. And it does sort of settle things down a little bit. But I think if I meditated instead, it would be even better. I don't know.
Yeah. Like every experience I've had with it has been positive.
Well, you should try the TM one.
I will.
I mean,
I will.
You don't have to be formally trained. I mean, I think it helps to have that context, but
yeah.
I mean, really, all you need to do is be online at 7 a.m., listen to the guy talk for 10 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. Then when he says to start the meditation, you close your eyes and you say a mantra. Like you could use Om. One really great mantra that I know a lot of people use is just let go.
Yeah.
Over and over again in your mind. Let go, let go, let go. And whenever you feel like you're bored, like during the meditation, or you're not sure what's happening, you just go back to the mantra. And and it starts to make sense. Like I do it with a mantra which has no meaning. It's just a word that like was supposedly a Sanskrit word that's thousands of years old that has no meaning, but it's a point that you come back to.
Do you just keep repeating it, or do you, at some point, do you let go of the mantra until...
It comes and goes by itself.
Okay.
I have never meditated all the way through and repeated it. I get lost. My mind wanders too much. But
if you're in the room with other people doing it, is it distracting to hear them doing their mantras?
Well, no, it's totally silent.
Oh, it's silent. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
You're not actually saying it. The last time I said my mantra was probably sometime in December of 91, whenever it was that I got trained, because they have you say it out loud, and then your teacher tells you just now think it, and then they kind of give you like some visualization things to think about, and that's it. And then you never say it again. But no, in terms of sound, actually, during today's right before today's meditation, the Bob Roth was talking about how like somebody had written to him and was asking, what do I do if I live in a city, it's really loud, you get traffic noise, or people upstairs, or all these people in the next room. And he said that doesn't matter. You come back to your center when you can.
Yeah.
And we're meditating we finished our basement, but when the heater comes on, because it was 38 degrees this morning when we got up, it's loud. But you like anything else, or if my mother gets up and she walks to the bathroom or whatever, you hear it, but you just recenter yourself. And there's noise from your local environment, but there's also a ton of noise just from your thoughts.
Your mental mental
and
noise.
So you start to see those kind of as similar.
Yes.
You keep coming back to the center, and 20 minutes goes by really fast when you do that, because like I find myself just letting myself think about whatever I'm thinking about. It doesn't matter what it is, and occasionally I fall asleep, which is actually kind of nice too.
Did you first get interested in it because of the Beatles? I think a lot of us, that was our first exposure, hearing about all that.
Yeah, definitely. I was probably curious about it because of that. But I also really wanted to understand whatever it was that I could understand about life just by being. And I think I feel like I've gotten some good insights about that, but not through meditation necessarily, just through kind of the scientific method, if you will, just thinking about, well, that makes sense to me, so I'm going to believe that. For some of those big questions that nobody can know anyway. So I figure, it gives me peace to say, well, I've figured it out for me and I'm good.
Do you think that meditation, is it a way of sort of disciplining your mind in a way so that you're open to learning these life lessons, or is it something that you discover while you're meditating? Because my hunch is that a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to meditate and then I'll see the meaning of life or whatever, but I don't think that's probably how it works.
And it isn't how it worked for me,
right.
For sure. I mean, I think I get something out of doing it personally, but I don't think that it's, maybe I don't understand what transcendence is on a basal level, but I always used to think that it was, raising your consciousness into this more universal awareness. But I've never really experienced that. So I don't know.
Right.
Maybe we're talking about two different things.
And I think because I was raised in a Christian household and everything, like I always was sort of taught that like heaven was this kind of other place. But now I don't quite think that. I think it's all around us, and it's just you can tune into it and you can kind of peek or sense it, become aware of it. It's always there, but we just don't see it.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, actually, you want to know what I really think?
I want to know what you really think. That's what this podcast is all about.
I think, like, when you go to the beach and you see a big wave crashing on the beach, and there's lots of sea spray all over the place. I think human beings are kind of like the sea spray, briefly, and we think we're alone, but we're really part of the ocean. And eventually, we go back to the ocean, and then we'll come back again. I don't know if that's reincarnation or if that's. I feel like humans, because they're human, have to have this need to feel separate from animals. I mean, we're animals, right? But we're not part of that. Like, no, the animals are over there. We're not that. But I think from a consciousness perspective, I think we're part of something which is just universal, and we're just separate right now, and eventually we kind of go back. I think when I realized that, I stopped being afraid of being dead. It concerns me a little bit because I could be wrong, but at least, as I sit here right now, I think, well, everybody's got to go through it at some point. So. On a fundamental level, the universe really only has two things in it. It has energy and it has matter. And
we know what matter is thanks to the last podcast.
Right.
I think I want to be the neutron, by the way.
Okay.
If we get,
you'd be a good neutron.
What are the neutrons doing in there? They're just kind of hanging out.
They drum. Well, actually, neutrons make the biggest atoms there are.
Okay.
When stars collapse, and neutron star is basically an atom with no electrons. It's just a humongous collection of neutrons.
All right, so we have matter. What's the other thing? I interrupted you.
Oh no, it's okay. Energy, just energy and matter. If you buy the Big Bang theory, 13.8 billion years ago, there was nothing but energy for like 300 million years until it expanded enough, like whatever it expanded from, who knows, but it expanded enough that it cooled down. So that the energy could literally congeal into matter in the form of hydrogen atoms. And then for a really long time, there were only hydrogen atoms in our entire universe. That's something that absolutely blows me away. And it's not until stars started forming out of hydrogen and literally like compressing into other atoms that anything else was even in the universe besides radiation, gamma radiation from the Big Bang, and hydrogen atoms. So everything that we have here was created in stars.
Well, I've heard that, and I wanted to just check that out with you because you know more about these things than I do. Is it true that we're made of the same material that the stars are made of?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well, think about it. This whole universe started out in this little point. It expanded, and from the time that it started expanding, this is the current theory, so it could be wrong, but it had as much energy as it would ever have. So you think of it like a balloon just expanding, and it didn't actually have anything more in it, but everything that was there from the beginning and will be there at the end. Whatever happens at the end of the universe, who knows? But so all the material, your computer, your car, your spouse, they're all made out of atoms that were all created in stars in the last, 13.4 billion years or whatever. And just, they were created, then the stars died, they exploded, and matter got distributed everywhere in the local environment. And then more stars formed out of the hydrogen that was left. And eventually planets were formed, but that's where all the matter came from.
Wow.
So if you think about that in context of consciousness and what we are even doing here, what we're even thinking, how can we even think? We're just a collection of atoms and molecules that work in a certain way that have been working on this planet and probably other planets in similar ways for a long time. We're connected to that energy. That the matter came from that energy, so it's connected to it.
It's all connected.
Yeah, I think so. And so that's why I believe that it's all part of the same whole. I don't think we're any different from anything else in the universe. It's just It's just one big system.
So is meditation a way to kind of remind yourself of that or realize it?
Well, my hope is that I can connect to it in some way.
Right.
And maybe through the act of meditating, I find myself a place where I'm in sync with it.
Thanks for listening to our conversation about meditation. If you have some thoughts about meditation in your own practice, feel free to go to pajalarasa.com and leave a comment for this episode, or email us, jim@pajalarasa.com or dave@pajalarasa.com. And we hope you'll subscribe. There's lots of podcasting applications out there that we are popping up on these days. So just pick your favorite, see if we're on there, and click the subscribe button. Thanks again for listening.